Okay, so right now you've got a team of about six. That's been fluctuating between 4 and 9 at times because of retention. So fill me in a little bit. Right now, how are you hiring people? Where are they coming from? What are you doing with them when they show up? And how's that working for you?
We've tried different ways, obviously, because we're not experts at this. We're trying to figure out the best way.
Yeah.
Right now, the best way we have out there is we put out an ad. We get, sometimes we get, 10 or 20 applicants, but most of them either don't answer or don't show up. And the ones that we do, we hire one or two of them at a time. And one of them doesn't show up or they don't stay very long, kind of the same thing you're saying in this video.
Right.
Our training is we go over paperwork and how to read insurance paperwork and, how to look for storm damage, things out in the field with somebody, and they get, on-the-job training, I guess is what you would call it. And we do that for about a week or two. Some people are faster with more experience than others. It could be 1 to 3 weeks, I guess, to get the time people, and then after that, they're on their own.
Okay. Okay. So, and most of the time, you can't probably do that with more than 1 or 2 people at a time, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, let's talk about the obvious problems with this method. And by the way, don't feel too bad because until really, I was the first person I think that ever put together a new hires training. So there hasn't been resources for you guys to use, but let's look at the obvious issues here. Right now, you're getting a couple of people that bite and most of them don't show. So then when you finally get somebody to show, we're spending up to 3 weeks holding that person's hand, and then we let them out on their own. And if that person doesn't work out, we just wasted 20 days babying this person, and then they quit.
Exactly. And that's if we find somebody decent. I mean, sometimes they don't last that long, or sometimes they turn out to be less than it's pretty hard to find those.
Mm-hmm. So this method...
I don't know any better. I don't
right.
know what better way to do it. So.
Right. And again, like I said, I know that's why we're talking today. But we always have to, it's good to look at the situation and go, wow, what we're doing right now is not working. Here's why it's not working. And that helps us understand the solution better. Okay? So here's what we need to be able to do. First of all, the first issue to tackle is getting more people in, right? Because right now, we're only getting 1 or 2 people here and there, and we don't really have much of a choice but to try to go through the rigmarole of training them because we're desperate for salespeople, right?
Right.
So, the first problem is with the ad. So, most people put out an ad that says, now hiring, door-to-door sales, commission only, but average income $75,000 to $100,000 in the first 9 months, right? And we think it sounds awesome, right? Because we're like, that's true. But most people see that, and the second they see that it's a sales commission position, what do?
I feel like there's so many good candidates out there that don't even apply. I know they're looking for jobs.
Right.
We're out of Austin area, so I know people are moving here and want to move here, but they need a good job to move here, right?
Right. Well, most people, when they see the word sales, they immediately think insecurity. They're like, well, I need a stable job, right? Most people think that sales is like, the greasy salesman or like the person having Amway parties and like pampered chef parties. And they're just like, I don't want to do that shit, right? And then door to door is even scarier for most people. They're like, you want me to go around knocking on people's doors? Like, it just sounds unattractive, right? So if the ad is unattractive, you're not going to get very many people to apply. And the ones that you do get to apply, you're usually like, I don't really know that you weren't really the candidate I was looking for, right? So the first issue is changing the ad. And people say, well, what? I mean, it is a sales job. What do you want me to do? And I'm like, that's right. It is a sales job. We're not going to change the job, but we're going to change how we describe it so that it doesn't send people running for the hills. Then when they get into the interview, the way that we run the interview is very important because, again, we don't make it sound like a scary sales job. We don't scare them away by, the way that we talk about door knocking and commissions. And we're making it sound like more like a regular job than it is, so that they give it a chance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of people are just afraid of the job. So I think when people do it, they're like, this isn't that bad at all. But it's hard to get people to come in, like you're saying, and leave a job where they can take either hourly or salary, 100% commission. Kind of tough. Although there's unlimited earning potential, it's kind of tough for people. So I agree with everything you said.
Yep. And so it's our job, though, to do everything we can to turn that environment around so that they do want to check it out and give it a shot. But we can't leave it up to them. What most companies do and what you're kind of forced to do right now is just, well, we're going to keep kind of doing what we're doing and hopefully the right person comes along. But you cannot build a business that way. You can't scale a business that way. That's pure chance. You understand?
Right.
So what I did was I wrote an ad, and I always tell people, I wish I could tell you I slaved over it night and day. I really did it. It worked the first time, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I wrote an ad that describes the job in a way that makes it sound enough like a regular job that people are willing to check it out. But it also sounds like, okay, maybe this is a little bit non-traditional, so that when they show up to the interview and they realize it is a sales position, they don't feel bamboozled and get up and leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I know if I went to an interview and there's like a group setting, I would feel weird. I would feel like this isn't like any other interview I've ever been to before.
That's okay. It's not like any other job they've ever done before either, is it? And Clayton, we can't run a system in a business based off of your opinion of it, right? So, and I mean that with all kindness, but just because that's how you feel about it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. I might say I don't like mustard, and so I'm like, well, I'm not going to put mustard on anything at my restaurant because I don't like it. But a lot of people love mustard, and if I don't put mustard on their burgers, I'm not giving them the right experience. So we can't run it based off of our opinion of what we might feel. Does that make sense?
Agreed.
Okay. So I understand that the sound of a group interview sounds a little awkward, like that sounds weird, but I promise you it's not. The way that I have you run it, it makes perfect sense. And it's not just a group interview. You are going to have one-on-one time with these people, and I actually have you acknowledge the fact that you're doing a group interview with your candidates so that they're like, that makes sense. You're not going to have any weird vibes in there, I can promise you that. And by the way, I have thousands of contractors all over the country that are using this system, and they're growing their teams to 10, 15, 20, 35 people using it this way. So whether you think it's awkward or not, it works. So we want to look at what works. Does that make sense?
Yes,
and I'm giving you a hard time here because a lot of business owners make decisions based off what they think, not on what they know. And that's not how we run a business successfully, okay?
I've never tried it that way, so I have no idea how it would or wouldn't work out.
Right. That's just your first impression, and I totally get that. It sounds like a weird environment, but it's really not. I promise you it works. And think about it like this. Let's say you run my ad. My ad averages somewhere between 20 and 50 applications in the first 7 to 10 days. And what that means is, let's say that 35 people applied to the job. Are you going to try to set up 35 individual interviews? Hell no. Do you know how much time that would take? Plus, if... Right, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't work. But what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to do my best, and based on their resumes, I'm going to try to pick the best people. That's bullshit. It doesn't work. And half the people, you just said it yourself, half the time, people don't even show up. So if you schedule 35 people for interviews and 18 of them show up, but the other half cancels, you're going to be sitting on your ass in your office pissed off fuming because you've just wasted 15 hours out of the week. Doesn't work. So instead, what we want to do is, let's say 35 people apply, and then you schedule 28 of them for interviews. 20 of them show up. You end up hiring 17 of them. Let's say 9 of them show up for training, and then you end up keeping and launching 4 or 5 people out of that group. That's how you do that, and that happens in a matter of days. Whereas right now, you guys are running an ad, you're interviewing one person here and there, you hope they stick around for 3 weeks, but then they quit 90% of the time. right? So you're going to still have people that don't work out, but when we're doing it on that scale, you have a handful of people that still does work out at the same time. So you're not wasting any time and spinning your wheels.
I don't know.
Does that make sense?
I know that area. I think your way of going about it is gotta help with you sometimes. Time is the big thing up here, right? So, I mean, it's hard to find time to train everybody while I'm trying to run a business. Normally I can focus just on running a business, but if I'm trying to train and run a business, they have to pulling other people off of their work to come do it. It's kind of a pain. So,
well, yeah.
The less time I can spend doing it, the better off it'll be.
Absolutely, and that's what this is about, because right now the system that you guys have is costing you the most time, right? So we want to use a system that already works, right? Like this, the people have been using this system that I made since 2015. So it works, or people wouldn't still be buying it. And I'm just saying that to you to help give you a little bit of confidence here that there is a better way and people are doing it. So it works. I'm not just saying, here's my theory, buy it and try it. I'm saying this is what people all over the country are doing, and it's changing the game for them.